Okay, so once again, I want to debunk what some people are saying about the most recent horror film, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And debunk, I mean, I want to, I want to defend it. You know, I'm not a fan of Five Nights at Freddy's. I did try the game. The movie is based off of a video game that was pretty much I think a computer game. I saw it on Steam a few times in the past, but I never really acknowledged what it was. I didn't know what it was. But then I ended up looking for it on Steam and remembered, and then I played, I think, number 3. It was a little bit difficult. At first, it was kind of easy, but then by the time I got to day 3, I couldn't, close the vents and or whatever or something. It started to get difficult, so I just gave up. But it is pretty spooky. It's a pretty spooky survival horror. I don't think you ever really see the player. It's kind of first person perspective. It's like $7.99 each for each new installment on Steam. 1, 2, 3, and 4, all of them individually, or $7.99. I haven't even looked for a bundle, but anyway. So the movie, and I didn't even know the first movie was based on this game. I didn't. I thought it was a fresh idea, but turns out that it is. And the second one features some parts of the game that the first one didn't, involving the security measure. Involving Mike, the security guard. In this one, in the second one, in the first one, you may recall, he's a security guard. He does something to get fired, and ultimately he has to find another job, and his career counselor helps him get a new gig, a security gig, quoting William Afton, played by Matthew Leonard. The famous Matthew Leonard from the Scream franchise, as well as Shaggy and Scooby-Doo. And the two only live action Scooby-Doo movies. They should have made more. And so William Afton is also in this, but it's like a cameo. It's a very small part. And I'll get to that in a bit. I'm not really going to try to give a whole spoiler review or recap. I'm just going to really talk about bits and pieces. There might be mild spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, turn off now, and then you can watch it for yourself, and then come back. So I'm gonna go into like IMDb, because that's just how I roll. I don't really go off the top of my head. Got too much going on up here. So you got Josh Hutcherson as Mike, the security guard. Piper Rebello as Abby. That's Mike's younger sister from the first one. Abizav Leo as Vanessa. That's the woman who is a cop in the first one, and now I guess she's still a cop, but she helped defeat her dad, William Afton. You can notice that, I guess it's Vanessa Afton. Of course, you got Matthew Leonard as William Afton himself, aka the Yellow Rabbit. He was in that yellow rabbit suit. You got Freddy, yes, Freddy in a movie called Five Nights at Freddy's 2, as Michael, better yet, Michael Afton, the unknown brother of Vanessa that she doesn't even tell Mike about, or doesn't even mention until literally the last third of the movie, the third act. And we kind of get the idea that it's Michael Afton earlier on, but more on that later. Wayne Knight as Mr. Bulk, this arrogant, disrespectful, rude teacher that is very mean towards Abby. Even though he does kind of have like a little bit of a redeeming moment, I think. Then you got McKenna Grace. She's in a lot of stuff. She's just like Jenna Ortega in that she's in quite a bit of projects. She was recently in. She plays Lisa in this one, but previously she was in with black phone actor Mason Thames in a movie called Regretting You. She's also going to be in Scream 7. So in case you don't know, Scream 7 has William I'm sorry, Matthew Leonard in it, as well as, well, it's allegedly going to have. But the first Scream had Matthew Leonard, along with another actor that played. He played. I forgot the character's name. Skeet Ulrich, who plays Henry in this one. More on him later. Skeet Ulrich and William. I'm sorry, Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Leonard were both in the first Scream. They were both the killer, both the Ghostface. I forgot what the character that he played. Skeet Ulrich. He was Billy. Right, Billy. Sorry, I'm looking at my other screen here. But anyway, so, and I'm just going down the list. I'm not going to mention everybody, but yeah. So McKenna Grace is Lisa, who is this? Lisa is this. I won't say she has a YouTube channel because the year of this movie is like not even YouTube year. She has like an actual show, TV spot on an actual show. Not really just TV spot, but on cable TV as kind of like this paranormal ghost investigators, ghost chasers. You got David Andrew Cavallo as Rob, and I don't even know who that is. I guess this. Oh yeah, and Theo Bonez as Alex. These two are like Grace. These two are Lisa's fellow ghost hunters. Ghost paranormal hunters. And you got Andre Lynn Marie as Charlotte. I don't know why it says as Andre Lynn Marie. I guess, I don't know, that's the name. Charlotte is this daughter of Henry, played by Skeet Ulrich, the actor that played Billy and Scream. Miriam Spunkin, like pumpkin's funny because this movie is kind of a Halloween movie, but Spunkin is young Vanessa. And that's pretty much it that I want to mention. There was a few recurring people here in this movie from the first one, as well as the YouTubers that have played the first Five Nights at Freddy video games. They were YouTubers and they got selected by the filmmakers to be in both Five Nights at Freddy's and Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And the reason why I say that's because that's not my knowledge. I actually been watching other reviews about it, and watching other reviews I've discovered this information. But anyway, so yeah. Oh yeah, I want to note Megan Fox as Toy Chica. Toy Chica is like, there's Toy Chica, Toy Freddy, and Toy Bonnie. Now these toys are they're the same height roughly as the original Freddy robotic figures. I don't know what to call them, robots. There's Chica, there's Freddy, Foxy, and Bonnie. The originals, they were like fuzzy, fluffy, but with metal on the inside. But these ones are like toy versions where they're completely metal even on the outside, and they have these cheeks. So I said Chica. It's really Chica. Chica just kind of makes it, Chica because of her cheeks. But anyway, and you can see right here. This is IMDb. This is Wikipedia, and you can see these are the toy versions of those. There's Toy Chica, Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, I guess, and Toy Foxy, and whatever this is. That Power Rangers, there's 5 of them. Wow. And we'll just go down to the plot. So 1982. Charlotte Emily witnesses that William Afton, the restaurant's founder and serial killer, lure a boy into the back room. When the adults ignore her pleas, she agrees and sees William trying to murder the boy. She carries the boy back to the main stage, and as she does so, William stabs her. She dies from the knife wounds with a puppet-like animatronic called the Marionette emerges holding Charlotte's corpse. The location is shut down, but a new one opens shortly afterward. So, Freddy's Fazbear's Pizza is the original location. It's not the location from the first movie. That's a different location. That's the new one that opened shortly after is the one from the first one. So apparently, the first location, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, is the one that Charlotte was murdered in. I'm a little confused because the toy animatronics in the first location, they got shut down in 1982, according to Wikipedia. Apparently, those were the first models, I guess. And I say that they were the first models because we know from the first movie that location was eventually shut down too. So it's kind of like William Afton kept killing kids. He was a serial killer, and eventually, well, he didn't get caught, but it got shut down because the news found out, and it got closed down. And so my question is if William Afton had to know that he was going to get caught, and if he got caught, his place would be shut down. He risked his entire career of being the founder and manager of these two locations. He risked that because his locations were shut down. Hold on a second. I had to close my window. He had to know that killing kids, just kids alone, it gets news, and the news will have things shut down, right? Because when the news spread, parents and families, concerned people, concerned citizens, will go to the city hall and to the police and demand this place to be shut down. Naturally. That's what the merchant in Resident Evil 8 Village says. So, what was William thinking? There is no reason. I haven't found out the reason why, his motive behind killing those kids. Anyway, so the location shut down. Fast forward to 2002, a good 30 years, I believe. Wait, is it 20 years? I'm sorry. The animatronic stories in motors have become folklore, leading to the Fazfest Festival, which is this festival that a lot of people are obsessed with. Abby wants to go to it to showcase her robotics because she's taking a robotics class. Led by the teacher. Where is he on Wikipedia? My bad. I'm looking at the other screen. Sorry. Led by Mr. Bob. So, I know you can read this on your own, but basically what happens, for the sake of time here, more or less the same stuff from the first one happens, but this time it involves a character named Charlotte, who everybody calls Charlie for some reason. After she's murdered, she dies in the state of rage, and therefore her spirit, her ghost, is stuck in that state of rage. But she's not mad at William Afton for whatever reason. She's mad at all parents, because if you pay attention to the very first part of it, at the very beginning, she witnesses a boy being kidnapped, and she tells the adults, parents, whom kids are told to tell, especially during 1982. The parents say, if you see anything suspicious, let us know. And she does that. She does basically what she's taught. But as authority figures, the parents just shoo away. And you got ridiculous dialogue saying, not now, beat it, I'm busy, adults are talking. Very first screening, and I've seen it twice, I thought it was ridiculous too. Everybody talks about it now. especially on YouTube, they always say this dialogue is just lame and dumb. But hey, it's a horror movie, right? And this just showcases how the adults ignored her, and it led to her having to go out on her own to find the boy, and end up getting him, carrying him all the way back like this. You can see she's struggling because he's heavy. She's stabbed in the back, and obviously she's suffering from injuries, and then she dies because I guess she's so young that she succumbs to the injuries due to the fact that she's so tired from carrying the boy while she's bleeding out. She screams, indicating her state of rage, and the marionette comes out automatically and, holds her just like she held the boy, and then goes back down. And so later on we find out that her spirit bonds with the marionette. Now, the marionette is an animatronic that only existed at the original Fazbear's pizza place. And by the way, this whole Five Nights at Freddy's thing is based on Chuck E. Cheese's. Chuck E. Cheese's. The pizza gallery. And basically, the marionette has the ability to control the other animatronics, the toy versions of Freddy and his friends, Chica, Foxy, whatever the other names. Well, I don't know all the names. There's like 5 of them, so it can control it wirelessly, kind of like Bluetooth, but it can only do it within the perimeter of the actual facility, the pizza place. And that's a good note because Chica convinces Abby to disable the perimeter, which keeps the animatronics from leaving the place. Like I said, the marionette can only control them within the perimeter because they're not allowed outside of the perimeter. Now, I'm fast forwarding a bit. This is where McKenna Grace comes in. Her name is McKenna Grace, not Grace McKenna. But anyway, she and her ghost hunters, they go into the original location to get footage for the new episode. And, they're approached and led by Michael Afton, played by actor Freddy Carter. Freddy of all things. Now, it's funny that Freddy is playing a character named Michael, but Josh Hutcherson is also playing a character named Michael. And it's funny because McKenna Grace's character, she calls Michael Mike first, but then he says Michael. Just call me Michael. And I guess that serves 2 purposes. A, because it's Michael Afton, William Afton's only son, the younger brother of Vanessa. And also the second purpose is to differentiate him from Mike, played by Josh Hutcherson. So he gives them the tour, leads them down to eventually be killed one by one by the animatronics. But along the way, and I'm trying to obtain what's her name's Lisa. Lisa discovers the marionette. First, she finds this little music box, and she turns it off. She closes it, and immediately upon closing it, the marionette comes out and grabs a hold of Lisa and possesses her body. Now, the other people are killed, and we see the marionette kind of go after Michael, but Michael shuts the door and he says, "Welcome back, Charlotte." So this entire time, Michael's been trying to unleash Charlotte, who's been kept asleep due to the music box. Now, you may wonder, why didn't Michael just go to the music box? He had to know everything about the location, and then just wake Charlotte up himself. Because if he did, Charlotte would possess him. Because Michael was actually scared of Charlotte, despite wanting to help her. as a means to an end. So, anyway, I'm trying to remember what happened. Okay, so Charlotte, and I've already covered this here. Yes, Mike gives her a talking toy, the fast talker, and this is a pamphlet with a phone number as they leave. So this toy, because Abby misses her friends, they go back to the location from the first one, and he gives her tickets so she can have anything she wants. She finds this fast talker and decides she wants that, so he lets her have that. Yeah, because Abby wants to repel her friends who were damaged in the first one. And you got Vanessa. She struggles with psychological trauma from her father's acts. We see her later on. She goes to sleep by turning on the static television, and she puts up prompts, which are the toys of the kids that were modeled from the first movie, the ones that were in the original Freddy and his friends, 4 animatronics, Abby's friends, aka her friends. And, going to sleep, she encounters her dad, tells him that she's not afraid of him anymore, and he can't use her, but he speedily walks quickly up to her, and she's afraid, runs off. It's kind of funny you say you're not afraid of your dad anymore, but you run away anyway. He gets a knife, tries to kill her, tells her that she was his favorite. And anytime a parent says that you were my favorite, you're indicating you have at least 2 kids, at least. So we already know from the dialogue alone that William Afton had 2 kids. It's just up to us to later see what that second child is. So, after confronting her dad, she pushes him down the stairs, and he falls to his death. He's already dead, as we saw in the first one. And I'm looking on Wikipedia here. I know I'm cheating. I'm using this as an aid. More or less, I guess this is going to be kind of spoilery. Yeah. Joshua at school, blah blah blah. Toy animatronics they explore the town because Abby inputs that code that releases the animatronics. And yeah, so Abby, using her fast talker, she hears Chica, guides her to the site to propel her science project. Next day, Abby shows her project to Mike and Vanessa. Vanessa worries after Abby mentions the 1992 site, but Mike, informed by Charlotte's father Henry of her model and Vanessa's connection to it, dismisses her concerns. So Mike goes to talk to Henry, who is distributing flyers about his daughter's model. Henry is played by Skeet Ulrich, the guy that played Billy in Scream. Vanessa is captured by Charlotte, but trying to atone, blah blah blah. And Charlotte is kind of forced to give. Vanessa is forced to give Charlotte the code, which she, by controlling Chica, will give to Abby to input into the computer to disable the perimeter. Because Charlotte threatens to kill Vanessa. Charlotte threatens to kill Abby if Vanessa doesn't give her the code. And of course Vanessa will know the code. But it's kind of funny, why didn't Michael do it? If that's her sister, his sister, if that's Vanessa's brother. Michael must not have known the code. I guess only William trusted Vanessa, his oldest daughter, his favorite, with the code. She was probably his first security guard too, because she eventually becomes a cop. So Mike learns Abby is missing and goes to the original location. Abby's, she's at the science fair. The animatronics causes chaos, which trying to kill families because Charlotte is obsessed with killing families, parents. Mike stays to track them, but Vanessa takes them on. Toy Chica and the Marionette head to the Schmidt home, where the Marionette possesses Abby. Mike then goes to a new location to plead for the children's souls to save her. So, what happened was, is Mike originally had to go to the first location to shut off the animatronics, which Vanessa helps him with by giving them instructions, and she gives them a radio they communicate with via radio. Somewhere down the line, Chica, seeing that Mike has shut down has done something but shutting him down, she activates the original prototypes that they discover earlier. And I want to mention, earlier there was this whole thing with Mike slipping in the water and falling down, just like somebody else did the same thing. It's one of the members of the paranoia group that Lisa was a part of. He slips into the water, falls down, and is killed. And Mike similarly slips and falls into the water and is, well, not killed, but nearly killed. And everybody on YouTube talks, not everybody, but people on YouTube say this was like barely any water to be concerned with. It's like thigh-high water, and yet he acts like, they try to make it seem so scary. In the movie, it's a suspenseful moment. Anytime you have a certain thing come out of the water, kind of like a shark, let alone with a propeller head, and it's about to kill you, because that's what happened to the first guy who got killed in the water. Kind of funny they don't discover the bodies. And yeah, so Mike ends up being at the computer trying to disable trying to shut them down to keep them from killing people, and he eventually does. But of course, he has to fight off the original prototypes that sneak in through the vents or come up through the door, because it's trying to bring back aspects of the original game to when you had to close off the vents in order to keep the animatronics from getting in and killing you, the player. So it's very reminiscent of that, of the video games. I think it's number 3 in particular or something, I don't know. I did notice number 3. Because I played it after I saw the movie. It was free on the website. And yeah, so Mike eventually shuts him down. He uses this Freddy Bear mask to keep the animatronics from attacking him, because they think that he's an animatronic if he wears this mask. But it doesn't work on Foxy, which is kind of like the game, because you're given instructions to do that in the game. And then whoever's telling you this, that trick will not work on Foxy, because his thing is messed up. His recognition is messed up. So the only way to hold him back is if you shine a light on him every now and then, he'll stop. So apparently, if you show your flashlight, he'll stop. Anyway, Foxy nearly kills Mike, and Mike says, "Oh shit," when he recognizes him, because that's the first one that Willie wanted to kill Mike from the. That's the one that Willie wanted to kill Mike from in the first Five Nights at Freddy's. Anyway, Mike shuts him down just in time, and like I said, there's it's just a suspenseful moment, So anyway, he ends up shutting him down successfully, and he gets in the car, on his way back. Vanessa says that Vanessa saves Abby, who she's possessed by the marionette, and the marionette possessing Abby activates she reactivates the animatronics. Then Vanessa tells that to Mike. Mike says, "I have an idea." He goes back to the newer location, as according to Wikipedia here, and then within that newer location, which is it's the second location from the first movie. And keep in mind, both of these locations, the first and the second, were shut down. But anyway, he goes back there and he kind of yells out loud, says, "I know you might not hear me, you might not even be here, but Abby needs your help." And it's just that moment of when the hero has to ask for extra help, and we don't know if that help is going to come. We kind of do, but they like to make it seem like it won't, or they think we think it won't. Anyway, and then Mike gets the music box, takes it back, opens it, and that causes Charlotte to go back to sleep, and she gets out of Abby's body. Abby eventually wakes up, but the toy animatronics, try to kill them because Michael Afton reveals himself as Vanessa's younger brother, and she's like, he says, "Let me guess, Vanessa didn't tell you about me." "Yeah, that's so much like my sister." And Mike is surprised at the revelation of Michael, and therefore he doesn't trust Vanessa, as we see later. Michael says that Vanessa should join him as his sister. We can carry on Dad's legacy, because that's what Michael wants to do. He wants to carry on his legacy for whatever reason, and Vanessa doesn't want to be a part of it. So he says, "Fine, I don't need you anyway," and he tells the toy animatronics to kill them all, crush their bones, whatever. And they're about to, and they realize they're outnumbered, but then the animatronics from... I'm trying to be careful not to say toy animatronics, because the toy animatronics are the newer ones from the first location. They weren't really newer, they were just less used because that location was shut down first. Therefore, they were just kind of wrapped up. But anyway, and kept them dust collecting, which is kind of weird because it still should have like some kind of... They shouldn't be as new as they are, but anyway... I guess they cleaned them off at some point off screen. Anyway, Abby, what does she do? Not Abby, but Abby's friends come back, the original gang for Freddy and Foxy and all them, and start to destroy all the other ones, the toy versions of themselves. And it ends with Chica destroying Toy Chica. And by the way, Toy Chica is voiced by Megan Fox. And some people are talking about her voice. Look, the reason why there's this reverb of the voice is because Megan Fox is voicing a robotic character, an animatronic. Therefore, they're going to have that, robotic, voice, because they're robots. So it's just her voice being reverbed for that, to play that character. So... I don't know why fans are making a big deal about it, saying that, hey, her voice should be like this. Not fans, I'm sorry. People, just random, reviewers on YouTube. I put that in quotes because they're not official reviewers. They all think they are. They all think that just because they're getting in front of a camera and a mic that they matter and their voice matters and they can just bitch about anything. And the reason why I'm talking about this in the first place is because, look, I was aware that Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2 were not big, scary movies. They are different in that they're based on a video game, and they're more accurate than any other video game-based horror film, such as Silent Hill, Resident Evil. As you may know, Silent Hill, and I mentioned Silent Hill because Return to Silent Hill comes out next month, January the 23rd, 2026. I already put my trailer reaction on YouTube, and I'll plan on watching other reactions of it and see what other people think, because I like doing that in my live streams. But when compared to Silent Hill, especially the second one that came out, and it was all the Resident Evil movies minus the CGI films, Five Nights at Freddy's, it does seem to be on par with the video games. Like, on par, meaning inspired by, but also it looks like the video games, minus a few alterations or whatever. You can have a few alterations without affecting the main point of the movie. So what I'm saying is when I saw Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City of 2021, the director said it's just like the games. It's not. But Five Nights at Freddy's is. And the reason why I enjoy these two movies is because I originally did not know they were based on video games. And so not knowing, going in the movie theater, going to this movie not knowing, is better for you. Knowing as little as possible. So I don't get what people say that this movie's trash, it's not that good, it's got some fun moments, but it's just a bunch of Easter eggs and cliches and, jump scares. Now, it may be full of Easter eggs because it depends on how you do the Easter eggs as well as you do any element of any film. Now, I will say there were jump scares, but what scary movie does not have its jump scares? The first scary movie was from a 1967 movie, I think, called The Cat People. Invasion of the Cat People or something like that. They remade it in like 1987, so whatever. That had a jump scare, the first jump scare. And I thought somewhere it wasn't even a scary movie, but then I got corrected because it was a scary movie, but that was the first jump scare. So every scary movie is going to have jump scares. Jump scares is not a valid critique for a scary movie. Hell, cliches is not a valid critique for a scary movie because when it comes to scary movies, you're going to have cliches and jump scares. And now we know we're going to have Easter eggs. So don't go into any scary movie not expecting either of those, Easter eggs, cliches, or jump scares. And you shouldn't put in your movie review there's too many of these because that's not a valid critique. Just like One Time. One Time is not a valid critique because if you can't enjoy a movie that's 3 hours and 16 minutes long, and I say that to mention Avatar, Fire and Ash that's coming out not this week but next week. If you go into any movie knowing the runtime, that is how long it's going to last, the movie time length, you should know how long it's going to last. You should know how far your movie theater is and how much it's going to cost. I mean, you have the receipt, right? You have the location. You can Google it on your phone. We all have smartphones. We all have computers. Most of us, if you're on YouTube and you're looking in front of into your webcam, and you're talking on your mic, I know you have a computer or at least a smartphone or a tablet. You're able to, get on your smartphone and Google how long a movie is, where it's located, and how much it costs. What I'm saying is, if you're going to go to Avatar knowing this over 3 hours, and you're going to spend over $30 on the IMAX ticket, that's one IMAX ticket, $30, and you're going to drive to the location for 3 hours, and have to drive back 3 hours, a total of 6 hours, spending $30 for a 3-hour movie. Notice the threes. Do not complain about that in your review. Don't complain, because you knew all that. If you're complaining, then people like me are going to say, you knew that going in, and you took that chance anyway. You took that risk. Even if you have to drive an hour and a half for a total of 3 hours, there and back round trip, you knew that going in. What I'm saying is, don't go to any movie having to pay that much, watch a movie that long, and then having to travel that far, if you don't think it's worth it. I will tell you, just stay home. If you're not willing to, even out of curiosity of the film. Because if you do out of curiosity, you should, be open-minded, and you should therefore be more optimistic, more hopeful. And to me, people that complain, they're just trying to get the algorithm to pay attention to their video, because they want to be seen as negative and hating on a film that's really successful. Because look, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2, like, I'm looking at I'm gonna refresh the page here. So both 1 and 2. This is the first one. Chica's got this little explosive little cupcake with a candle. That's somehow not in the second one. Now the critics didn't like it, but the audience pretty much did. Two different sets of people. And this is just the same. Critics didn't like it, but the audience did. And I got a 4.4 out of 5 here, and 4.3 out of 5. So if the audience are generally liking these movies, despite the critics, there must be something good about it, right? I mean, I just think to myself that people just want to bitch about stuff just to be doing it, just to be negative. But like I said, the movie's not that bad. So, anyway, back on point. So, like I said, it's based on video games. This is the video game stuff. They call it FNAF. FNAF. Video game series and media franchise created by Scott Cawthon. Cawthon. That includes video games, novels, graphic novels, and films. I didn't know there were books written about it, and as well as comic books or whatever. The story arc typically follows a night guard or other character trying to survive from midnight to 6 a.m. for 5 levels called Nights, while fending off attacks from homicidal animatronic characters. Makes me wonder how you have four more games. How many security guards went to? How many have they played this movie, and how many went to see this movie? How many have played this game and went to see the movie? I don't know. Each game is set in a different location connected to a fictional pizza restaurant franchise called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. The core gameplay mechanics involve using tools effectively and managing limited resources to avoid being caught by the animatronics, aka survival horror. At the family-friendly resource management game, Clipper and Sons was criticized for the resemblance of his characters to frightening animatronics. Responding to the feedback, he developed a game that focused on horror, released in 2014. The success prompted the development of sequels. Anyway, using up storage space. So, I don't think the movie's that bad. The marionette is ultimately defeated, and that marionette ends up possessing Vanessa. Because, Josh Hudson's character Mike, because he realizes that Vanessa never told him about her brother Michael Afton. Mike just says to her, "Stay away from us. Don't come near my family again." And Vanessa is surprised at this. She's taken aback, but then, she's obviously helped by it, but then she's possessed by the marionette, who has woken up because the music box has stopped playing. It winded down. It makes you think, who kept the music box playing? It's weird. There are some plot contrivances here and there, but that's any scary movie. So she's possessed by the marionette, and we know that this is only part 1 of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. There's going to be a third Five Nights at Freddy's, so Five Nights at Freddy's 3, or Five Nights at Freddy's 2 Part 2, I guess. It's a trilogy, at least, that we know of, and that's confirmed with the after credit scene, because in the after credit scene, if I do recall, individuals, they go to they go back to the first location to find equipment to use for their new theme park or whatever it is, and they ultimately discover William Afton's body inside of the yellow rabbit. So William's corpse, still trapped in the spring-lock rabbit suit. And a spring-lock rabbit. Why would you have a spring lock? It doesn't make sense. The spring lock was used to kill kids, I guess, because the kids' bodies were inside the animatronics, and then those spirits would possess the animatronics, according to the first one, anyway. And that spring lock is what killed William in the original. One of the spirits caused the spring lock to malfunction and kill William with it. It's discovered by a group of delinquents who weighed the new location, just like the new location, the second location. It was originally weighted in the first movie. It's like people keep waiting this movie, waiting the movie, but also waiting locations, minus the Ghostbusters group. They wanted to capture footage. That's Lisa's group. The group lead tries to leave, but his spirit takes control of the suit. A recorded message Henry left for Mike reveals Henry as William's former business partner and co-creator of the animatronics before warning him about the marionette. And that message is cut off. So, yeah. So, my final assessment. Like I said, the movie's not that bad. I don't understand all the hate on YouTube. It's not that bad. It has what you think what a scary movie would have. Any scary movie is not going to be. We all know what every scary movie is about nowadays. Plot contrivances, cliches, repeats, Easter eggs, and jump scares. We know that. So you shouldn't go in this movie thinking it's going to be any different from any other scary movie. When Scream 7 comes out next year, it's going to be the same. Plot contrivances, repeats, cliches, jump scares, Easter eggs. That's what scary movies do nowadays. Sorry. That's just how it is. So, I don't understand all the hate. I will say one critique. When Vanessa is in the vehicle to go keep the monsters from attacking families, I do notice that two of the animatronics, the prototypes from the original location, they sneak up on her and get on her vehicle, her car, her truck, or whatever. When they get on it, they somehow, because these things are like robots, they walk very slowly and you can hear their stomp. In some instances, they somehow sneak up on people, and also they happen to catch up to Vanessa as her car is going at least 40 or 50 miles an hour down the street, down the road. How do they catch up to her vehicle? Even if it's only been a few minutes since she left Mike to disable the animatronics. How do they catch up to her vehicle? And how do they even sneak up on people? Those are plot contrivances that the movie doesn't explain because it wants you to ask those questions, and it doesn't want to spoil anything. It wants you to think and come up with your own conclusion, your own reason. But also because it's a scary movie. Sometimes in order to be scary or spooky, we cannot explain every single thing. Maybe there's some otherworldly reason why these things were sneaky or super fast in certain moments. We don't know. That's the technical explanation. The reason why behind it is because it just gives a spooky reason. Sometimes it doesn't make sense for Michael Myers to sneak up on people, even though he's quiet. He wears boots, don't he? You should be able to hear him, right? But somehow he's able to sneak up on people. Just saying. It's not a perfect movie, but it's by far not a bad one. I give it like maybe a 6 out of 10 at least. I think that's pretty fair. As for the hate, people are just bored out of their minds. So that's about it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. See you in the next review.